Hey folks, Kevin here. Well, it's November 22nd, 2019, and today I thought I'd share with you my thoughts and experiences last night when I watched the Elon Musk unveiling of Tesla's much anticipated Cybertruck. The Cybertruck is Tesla's version of a pickup truck that's a disruptive form and function of the pickup truck that is going to enter the market of a completely saturated market of very traditional pickup trucks here in the United States. So, and a week ago I posted a video regarding the Cybertruck and what I wanted to see in it. I'll put a link to that video in the upper right hand corner, so if you're interested in seeing that one as well. So on the 21st of November 2019, last night at 11 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I was half asleep waiting for this unveiling event so that I could be one of the first ones in line to go ahead and put a pre-order in on this Cybertruck. I already had a pre-order reservation for the Rivian truck, pickup truck, but I really wanted to have the Tesla Cybertruck. Didn't know what it was going to look like, and Tesla kept its secret very well. And Elon talked about it being something out of Blade Runner. So that's what I couldn't wait to see. So last night it started off with at the SpaceX Center, where YouTubers and the media and shareholders were all invited to see this unveiling attempt. So everyone got brought into the building. Many people were streaming this live as well. And the stage was lit up with laser lights all the way around, really bright red color. And then the music stopped for a moment and Cybergirl appeared.
In the future, there will be no straws, I promise. Los Angeles, November 2019. The skies are polluted. The world is addicted to oil. But we're here to offer a solution. The Cybertruck. The #1 mode of transport for a cyber girl. The greatest evolution in vehicular, fashion, and function. I now present to you my creator.
So Elon came out on stage and did a really quick slideshow showing over the last 100 years, the pickup truck really hasn't changed very much at all from certainly before I was a kid, but he showed all of the vehicles that I've seen since I was a child, and they really haven't changed too much. And what Elon mentioned was, well, the form, design, and function of pickup trucks really hasn't had any profound changes over time. There's just been gradual evolution over time with the pickup manufacturing, design and manufacturing system. So the form and function really hadn't changed hardly at all. So, and Elon's big into changing form, fashion, and function, making things, quite stylish and fast and efficient and safe. All of those things are very, very appealing. And so I was hoping for all those things in the Cybertruck. And so after he did this brief slide presentation, he said, well, let's see the Cybertruck. And the stage opened up. And of course they had the fog, and out rolled the Cybertruck. And I, at first, was a little disappointed, a little like, wow, is that going to meet my needs? It looks like a little bit of a pumped up DeLorean on steroids. So those were my first impressions, first honest impressions. And but knowing everything that I know with what Elon has put into these things, and Franz, the designer, that wasn't deterring me from going ahead and being ready to, as soon as I kept refreshing the Tesla website, I knew I was going to do a pre-order for one of these trucks. So out rolled the truck, and Elon started talking about it. And one of the things he said was, you know, the design and modeling of these pickup trucks always approach things in the same way. You started off with this frame or undercarriage, and you had your drivetrain system, the engine, the transmission, the exhaust system, the drive shafts, the CV joints, all of those things, the four-wheel drive units, the exhaust, all of these things attached to this frame, and then a body put on top of that frame. And it just seemed to Elon to be, well, it's just not a very good design or form and function. And so what he came up with in the Cybertruck is it's an exoskeleton, much like arthropods. So we look at some of these insects with these exoskeleton, these chitin sheets that protect them, and I think about the resilience. It's how hard it is to harm some of these arthropods. It's a really good design for protecting you from the elements. And that's one of the things we want to have in a vehicle that's traveling at some outrageous speed, carrying tremendous weights, or someone else driving into it with a tremendous inertia. So what he designed was using materials that were really our space-age technology. In other words, the exoskeleton is made out of the same materials that the Starship, SpaceX's leaving Earth and going to Mars eventually is made out of. So, and it has to withstand extreme temperatures, and expansion and contraction needs to be controlled, and the body needs to be reusable for these space vehicles. So what the heck, why not use those same materials as an exoskeleton for the Cybertruck? Awesome. This material is cold rolled stainless steel, and these panels are I believe that they're using a tool and die system similar to the Model Y, and just punching out the parts from cold rolled steel. And this offers tremendous structural integrity. A 9mm bullet being shot into this material fragments the bullet. So these trucks, the bodies are bulletproof. Franz, the lead designer for Tesla, came out with a large sledgehammer. He went up to a door that was mounted on a secured stand, and he smacked it a couple of times with probably a neoprene coated sledgehammer, and really put some big significant dents into a car, just like as if you backed into something with your vehicle. Many of us have had that happen and put a big old nasty dent into our vehicle. Well, then he took that big sledgehammer, went over to the pickup truck and slammed that door a couple of times, and hit it really hard, and there were no dents or significant scratches that were detectable in that door panel. One of the things I would say, if you slow down the video and put it at 0.25, you put it down 1/4 speed, one of the things you can see is the malleability and the memory retention of the metal, and there's a resilience similar to the polymers or the proteins that are underneath and support the exoskeleton, the chitin exoskeleton and arthropods, that allow these the chitin sheets to get displaced and flex some, but then they would come right back into their same location. And it looked to me as if they had taken some of these features or characteristics, biomimicry, and incorporated that into the flex zones to allow the malleability of the cold rolled stainless steel to flex and then come back to its space. But as things flex, if it's firmly attached in those locations, then we're going to have damage. There's either going to be damage to the weld points, the bolt points, whatever it may be, or if there's flexion zones, that would be, that's what it appears to me anyways. And as soon as I saw that, I said, boy, this is the best dang vehicle I've ever seen. So that really impressed me. The next part of the presentation, Elon said, well, what about the glass? It seems like a vulnerable point. And again, it was. Now, Tesla started off, has been manufacturing this armored glass, which has
now I'll show you Tesla armor glass.
I'm not sure metallurgically just what it is, but it's a metal type, see-through metal-like glass. So it has many of the properties of glass and many of the strength properties of metal. And what they did was they took a steel ball bearing and they took automotive glass that was secured to a rolling stand, dropped it probably from 3 foot high, dropped that ball bearing that probably was just a little bit smaller than a baseball, dropped it from a prescribed height of probably about 3 foot, dropped it on the glass, and the glass broke. And then they rolled that one off and then put a piece of the armor glass there. They did the same thing, repeated it, didn't harm it, went up higher, probably got up to 15, maybe 16, 18 feet high, dropped the ball bearing on it and all. And the glass was absolutely fine. It did not fragment, nothing. He didn't get up close to see if there were any chips or anything, but it looked like it was good. This is the same glass that's being used in the Tesla Semi. And one of the things during the Semi reveal event, he was talking about, geez, if a crack occurs in a Semi tractor trailer's glass, that vehicle is legally grounded at that point until that glass gets replaced, and that holds up the whole business who's using that truck as a tool to ship materials. That ties everything up, and there's a loss of revenue as a result of that. So this armor glass, this is one of the things that I was really hoping that he'd be incorporating in the Cybertruck, and actually in all the vehicles ultimately. Well, then Franz, the lead designer, walked over with the ball bearing, and Elon says, well, go ahead and hit the glass in the Cybertruck. And Franz says, you sure? He said, yeah. So he did not a real heavy-duty swing like a Major League Baseball player, but he tossed it into the window, and of course it broke. Now, the ball bearing never entered the seating compartment where people would be sitting. Then Elon, then Franz says, you want me to do the back window too? And Elon said, yeah. It was kind of funny. He hit it a second time. And at that point, I know many people thought, and this will be a big thing on the media now, Elon failed. His bulletproof glass or anti-ballistic glass failed. Tesla's not worth anything. I'm sure we'll hear that sort of thing. And the idea that they did that live on stage and continued, and I'm sure it would have broken my heart if I was doing a presentation. I'm sure it took the wind out of Elon's and Franz's sails as a result of the glass breaking twice. But the show went on. They went on from there, and you know, I love when something goes wrong and people move on and it's just something to improve upon. And that's the whole thing with the Teslas. One of the big things that I've absolutely been sold on is that their technology, their innovation, and their over-the-air updates are always coming, and that makes me a big believer in Tesla. So they're going to figure this out and figure out how to make those windows even better. So I drive a 2003 Chevy Avalanche, almost 17 years old. It's a workhorse. I've always enjoyed the truck. Now the Avalanche is one of those pickup trucks that has a really short bed. It has 2 rows of seats, so it seats 5. It's pretty roomy. It's a very comfortable truck. And the back of the pickup truck is pretty short, but it has hard covers that fit in there. And it actually has neat little I'm going to call them toolboxes or tool caddies on either side of where the fenders meet the bed of the truck. So those are things that I really was drawn to this Avalanche, because I need to be able to put my tools and equipment inside of the back of the truck and have it be out of weather as well, because we live in an area where the weather comes up and it's nasty, and I want to keep some things out of not exposed to those weather conditions. So I thought I'd compare, now that we're using these innovative and creative, this exoskeleton technology with these advanced space age rocket ship metals and armored glass. Well, that frees up a great deal of space, and which makes this Cybertruck very, very roomy. But the outside footprint of the vehicle isn't much different than the Ford F-150, or in my case, and I took some measurements for my pickup truck, the Chevy Avalanche, and again, it's an 03 Avalanche. So the Cybertruck is 231.7 inches long, and my truck is 222 inches long. So about 10 inches longer than my truck. The width of the truck is 79.8. The Cybertruck, the Cybertruck is 79.8 inches. Mine is 80 inches. Both trucks are 75 inches tall. So they're just about the same size, with the Cybertruck being about 10 inches longer than my pickup truck. However, my pickup truck has a bed that is 5.3 feet long. And the Cybertruck has a bed that's 6.5 feet long. So, although it's a foot, 10 inches longer than my truck, we basically get over a foot longer in the bed space, in the carrying capacity of this truck. There is a large frunk, which is a front trunk, so where there would be an engine compartment in a typical truck, well, there's a large trunk area right up there, so more storage space there. My truck seats 5, and it's pretty spacious. The Cybertruck seats six adults. So when it pulled up on stage, 6 adults got out of the truck. That space where I just have a console between myself and the passenger, the driver's seat and the passenger seat, in my truck, it has a pretty good size area, compartment for to put things in, glove box, whatever you want to call it, there in between, and places to hold your drinks. Well, it has the same thing but much larger in the Cybertruck, and that cargo area flips up into a very comfortable looking seat for an adult in between the other 2 adults' seats in the front of the truck. So by moving the structural integrity architecture to the outside as an exoskeleton, they're freeing up all this additional headroom space, floor room space, and width space as well. That is very appealing to me, because the function of this vehicle, based on its form, gives us more functionality. There's more abilities that this truck is capable of, given the same footprint size of the other vehicles. The other thing that's really interesting about this is their automated air suspension, or adjustable air suspension on the fly. So here we have this truck with this skateboard design with the battery architecture, part of the superstructure that the truck is built around. That system is the whole truck can raise and lower to a maximum height of 16 inches ground clearance. Now, the Rivian has, I think it's 14.1 inches of ground clearance, something like that. I don't remember exactly. My truck, I can barely squeeze underneath my truck. You know, it's just hardly any room at all on there. I have to jack it up to do any work on it. And I really do. It's a workhorse, that Avalanche is, but you know, thank God it's got some skid plates, because I bottom out at times going around doing the work here on the property. And with that really high road, high clearance of the body, you know, getting the frame up off the ground is really appealing to me. Their wheel design and tire design, the tires look a lot like a really good winter or mud designed utility vehicle. My Pepe, which is a Kawasaki 4-wheel drive utility vehicle, I've got these special tires on it and larger rims so that I could actually move during the winter time and actually work through some snow without having to move the snow out of the way, ride through and on top of the snow. And these tires on the Tesla Cybertruck look a lot like those, and they're nice and wide. The other thing about with this high road clearance, with these really wide, beefy tires, and the depth of the height of the tire as opposed to the height of the wheel, is so good that we're going to have that cushiony with all the massive weight of this truck going down these roads. We have the ability for this truck to withstand potholes, and that's one of my concerns. The other thing is I have 2 gravel beds right next door to me, and they're always hauling these 10-wheeler truckloads and sometimes 18-wheeler truckloads coming out of the gravel beds. And the tires of those trucks coming up have pieces of gravel, stone that get left in the road. These large trucks do a lot of damage. We get lots of potholes. I've had to replace the underground culvert pipes. Those are the drainage pipes that go from one side of the road to the other side of the road. And so stones get kicked up all the time. There's big potholes or low spaces. And it beats the heck. You have to get your wheels aligned. You have blowouts, those sorts of things with your vehicles up here. And then we live in the snow belt. So we have heavy snow, large snowfalls, and lots of salt being used. So this Cybertruck with that armored, cold rolled stainless steel, well, we just sold Thea's Camry Hybrid recently, and there were dings where the stones had come up, hit the front of the car and made chips, and then ultimately if those chips aren't fixed, there's rust spots there. Then we get in the bottom of my Avalanche, it's all rust underneath there. I've had to replace brake lines because of the rust as well. All of these things I'm thinking about because the anti-corrosive nature of the design and minimalism of the undercarriage components in these electric vehicles. There's less moving parts to get damaged. There's less chance of the corrosive agents affecting the materials that these vehicles are constructed from. And we have a variable height clearance, so we don't have to worry about there being a significant snowfall in a short period of time, because there are times where in a 24-hour period we can have 4 foot of snow getting dropped. So in any couple-hour period you could have a foot and a half of snow, and it's really neat to be able to have a vehicle that has all-wheel drive that also has a 16-inch ground clearance as well. You can make that suspension adapt. And with the weight being distributed, having a low center of gravity, we have, something that's absolutely amazing. Great traction, going over rough terrain, being able to climb in off-road conditions, being able to make it through pothole conditions, making it through heavy snow conditions as well. And I bet because of the weight of this vehicle and the way that the vehicle is designed with these 16-inch ground clearance, those places where people live in areas that get flooded, and these are things that we're seeing more and more commonly, this is a vehicle that I think would be potentially much better. One thing that I would hope that they would have as an add-on feature, for those people who live in fire zones, I'd like to see them have their cabin filters be the like half micron or 0.05 micron filters. So it's like HEPA filters, so that none of those noxious fumes, if you're driving through these fire areas, will affect you inside of the cab. And certainly since the outer body components are being used in rockets that are exposed to extreme temperatures, especially on re-entry, well, I think that might be a much safer vehicle to be able to drive through a fire zone as well with the excessive heat. So those are just a couple of things that I was thinking about when I was watching the presentation. What about the cargo area or the bed of the truck? They call it the vault, probably because it has a lockable top that comes down on top of it. But the vault on this one is 6.5 feet long and 100 cubic feet of lockable exterior storage in that. And the Avalanche has 53.9 cubic feet of lockable storage in it. It can take a cargo load of 3,500 pounds in the back of that truck. Actually, at the end of the unveiling, Tesla's also come up with not a utility, an all-terrain vehicle, an ATV that someone drove it up and loaded it into the back of the pickup. So with this on-the-fly or adjustable air suspension system, I was always thinking of that as, one, being able to raise the height of it for our snow, high snowfall times, or when we're trying to get out the driveway when I haven't had a chance to plow yet, or being able to go through some of the muddy, rutty areas and off-roading things that we do here. And I always thought about it being able to adjust to the ton weight on the dump trailer when I'm loading it and all, and still maintain high ground clearance, but then being able for kilowatt efficiency, being able to drop the vehicle lower and make it hug the rails and be more like a sports truck going close to the ground. So all those things actually impressed me a lot, were things that I was thinking about. But one of the things I hadn't thought about is when Elon says, oh yeah, we have this ATV, and one of the people at Tesla drove the ATV out. He got off the ATV, went over, looked like he hit a button in the back of next to the back of the tailgate, unrolled the removable hardcover that's lockable. And the only thing I would say about that, it's one of those ones that's like the blinds that can fold up, or in kitchens years ago when we first built this kitchen in the early 80s, one of the new things was the old roll top desk roll. And that's what it looked like with the hard top being removed and going down. Now I like that it really retracted. It was electronically retractable. I'm in a because I'm always doing earthworks and working with sand and dust in the air. I worry about that wearing on the hinge joints of that retractable unit, or dust getting driven down into the sliders for that unit. But that's the only one of the very few negative things that I worried about with that design. But again, the operator of the ATV went up, hit the button, that opened up. He pulled down the tailgate. He then reached inside of the top of the tailgate area, which is now facing his waist, grabbed a hold of an area, and he pulled out a collapsible ramp that went right down to the ground. And I hadn't noticed at that time, but the truck had, as soon as he was pulling out that ramp, the hind end of the truck, the rear of the truck, started removing compressed air from the suspension of the back and increased air suspension in the front. So the truck automatically tilted to comply with the ramp on the of the back of the truck, which made the loading of the truck with a wheeled vehicle, whether it was whether it's an ATV or wheelbarrows or whatever it is, it made the loading process much easier, much more adjustable. And wouldn't that be awesome if you're going up to a spot on your property and you want to get your riding mower in there and it's too steep of an angle? Well, you might go up next to a hill and you can adjust the height of the back of the pickup truck and the front of the pickup truck to accommodate that and make it real easy for loading. If you found this video of value, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them below. I really appreciate it. There'll be more to come on this topic. I'm pretty psyched about this truck coming. I think I got about 2 years before it does come. Hopefully it comes through. And Elon, thank you. Frost, thank you. Thanks so much, all you hard workers at Tesla. Have a great day, folks. Bye-bye now.